So I grew up in different parts, product of Kendriya Vidyalaya. Uh, I was in Madras, now Chennai, Pune, Bidar, and finally, we came to Hyderabad right before my father retired. But around that time, I did my 11th and 12th in Kendriya Vidyalaya in Secunderabad. And from there, I joined DMET. Actually, prior to joining DMET, I was doing my electrical engineering at Osmania University. I was there for like 2, 3 months. And then when this interview for DMET came up, I went for that, joined DMET, and December of 1984, 10th December 1984 was our joining date for our batch.
So at your time, the admission was through IIT or it was through something else?
It was through IIT.
Okay, so you must have like IIT rank at that point.
Yeah, but no, I was not selected for the IITs though. I
Okay,
think from our batch, I think the first 12 or 13 folks, they were in IITs, and then they left IITs to join DMET.
so like, what was the batch strength at that point of time in college?
We were 100 from India,
Okay,
and there were about 20 or so from. Actually, initially there were 13 or 14 that came from Iran, and there were 4 from Ethiopia.
yeah. So that trend actually
That
stopped in our time. So yeah, my brother is also from DMET in 2003 pass out, and in his batch also a lot of Ethiopian folks were there, but
mhm.
not in our time. So that
Okay.
must
I
have
think
been like a
yeah,
good cultural mix, having
yeah,
Iranians and Ethiopians.
exactly. And I think Ethiopia has their own marine institute now, and I
Yeah,
believe
it's a run
I've
by
heard
DMET. Yeah.
it's run by a DMET, and it was 1978 pass out DMET.
Mm.
Uh, I believe it's Mr. Rajiv Sareen, and I actually happened. He was my Bada Saab when I was a third.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you sailed because in LinkedIn, that's your sailing profile is missing. So
Yeah, yeah, it's been a long time, so I don't have it there.
yeah.
I did sail. So uh, after I cleared my seconds, and after that the plan was, and right around that time I got married because of family issues and other things. We were I was planning to go back to sea, but family circumstances dictated otherwise, and I ended up coming to the US. And actually, when I came to the US, I was kind of misinformed there that, hey, we could join the Merchant Marine here. But once I came here, I found out that, hey, you have to be a citizen to join the US Merchant Marine. I was able to, after, you know, then I, of course, decided what to do next, and, took admissions. 92 was not a good year. There was a recession in the US as well. So I went to do my master's in computer science, and at Iona College, now Iona University. Uh, and then after that, life took a different turn.
Yeah.
I did, I did, I did get an offer from one of the companies, for a sailing job, but it was, I think, Canadian based or something. And then, but then I had to refuse that. Although I was very interested around that time to sail, but
So, uh, so how was your like a fit? Were you a sports guy in college? You were into fitness, or just a general guy, academic fellow?
well, I was the band LCS
Okay.
cadet captain and the senior cadet captain. So I was in the band. And then aside from that, I actually played volleyball a lot. And volleyball and cricket were the 2 sports that I played. I was not that great in cricket. Volleyball, I was reasonably okay, and did play that. And of course, when I joined DMET, my seniors felt that I should be a good hockey player. tried and dabble there a bit, and ultimately, they realized that I'm not a hockey player, and I can't be a hockey player. So that kind of saved me.
So, like any interesting memory that you still remember from college days, or you want to share with everyone? Of course, it's
Of
totally up to you. And for example, for me, 4 year of DMAT has changed me as a person. The friends I made there are still my friends. I have very difficulty adding someone new in my safe zone of friends. There's like friend for life.
mhm.
Even if we talk after 10 years, yeah, just like okay. So it's connection is always there. So what has been your experience in that regard?
Very, very positive. I think DMED changes everybody. I mean, anybody who goes to DMED loves the institute, loves the people, like the camaraderie, the friends, and like you said, the friends that I made in from '94 to '98. No matter, I may not have met them, but I'm sure, like, if I meet them now, it'll be like, the separation never happened, and we can just take off from where we left off. So the bond that we create in DMET lasts forever, and that is, and not only between, of course, between our batch, it is the strongest. In fact, one of my very close friend is my batchmate, lives in Philadelphia, Rishikesh Samant, and he has been, like, after DMET, if there was one batchmate that I meet most frequently, it's been him. And we have about 5 or 6 other alumni, I mean, from my batch in the US. And of course, New Jersey, we have a lot of DMED
Any
folks.
yeah.
Yeah, and we have had get-togethers, and so so not only is the bond between the batchmates very strong, it could be any batch, anybody who comes around.
Yeah.
And for example, like, when I was climbing uh, Mount Everest, I created a WhatsApp group for the friends and family, and everybody joined. And in that, there are many of my seniors who were 1972 pass out. They heard about it, and many of them joined, and it was as if, I felt like, an instant bond with them. I'm sure they felt the same.
So Ashok
So,
Nigam is someone who is very interested in doing something similar. He is your senior and he is based out of US. Maybe like
uh-huh.
he's 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 also very interested in he's into adventure sports. If you don't have his number, I will try to connect him with you.
Certainly, I believe I have interacted with him. The name is definitely familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so that is something that I guess we all cherish about DMET. So I have sailed only once. So that was not decided. So I gave class 4 and I left one oral because I never wanted to come back to sea. So,
Mhm.
and all my ventures have been with DMETians, senior or juniors. The current company which I am running is also is a DMETian senior from 97. So
Mhm.
and then when I started MarineX and DMET Club, the first people who put invested the money were also all DMETians. So my life has all been about DMET, and it is same for everyone, I believe. So you cannot once you are in DMET, that bond goes till you are alive. So my next question is, sir, uh, so does computer happen totally by chance, or you were interested? Because at that point of time in India, I believe the computers were not that known. The technology and tech boom came
Mhm.
later, came
I
a little
believe
later.
our batch, we did have a computer science class,
Okay.
and there was a small personal computer lab, and we had to take our shoes off. Literally, we had to take our shoes off to enter the lab. And Mr. Biandas and I believe Mr. Mukhopadhyay were our instructors for computer science, and it was a very, very, very basic course that we were taught. So that did pick my interest a bit, but then, after DMED was sailed, and when I came to the US, and that's when, I had to make one of the decisions. So, what career should I choose? And I was researching a lot, and of course, I kind of this is going back in 1992, almost 32 years, uh, when researched, I saw that, computer science is going to be the next big thing. And I believe I read some articles, magazines, and this. So I started looking for places where I could, learn more. And then there was this open house at Iona College where I went, and I was specifically interested in computer science. That's all I wanted. And of course, I remember I talking to one of the counselors there. Uh, they said, I may have to, because of my interest, and they said, you've done engineering. Why do you want to? So I said, no, this is my new interest. Now I want to learn more. So, I had to take a few, prereqs and after that I was enrolled in the master's program. So, and so that's how so first thing was necessity, where I had to find something else to do because I could not go into, merchant navy here. And then the second thing was, my own interest that I I was, did my master's in computer science, and soon after that, my first job was joined as a programmer for AT&T.
Okay. So how has been your career journey been? Like
Well,
we
yeah. So
have seen
from
on LinkedIn, it is very interesting. So you worked on different profiles. You're currently, I don't know, because it was like till 2021 or 22, you're managing project for a company. That then,
Yes.
I guess, are you retired or you are doing something else now?
No, actually, 2022. So several some other things were happening in parallel. I was in technology, worked for many telecom companies, and then when I left that, and my next job was in I worked for FICO. More again, like that job ended. I had to work for FICO doing fraud and collections systems, and then I joined Pega Systems, and of course Pega I was worked on with very different verticals, and managing many projects. And I moved into operations and delivery. So I did that until 2022, and which is when around 2018 or so, wife, my wife is an entrepreneur. She have had her own business, but in 2018 she started her own restaurant,
Wow.
and that restaurant, and it was more of out of her hobby that she wanted to own a restaurant. But felt that hey, if we have to scale up, it should not be. We should franchise the concept that she built. So I actually started working on creating a franchise company, and after that we grew 2020 we became a franchise, and after that we have
Just before COVID or like after post COVID?
right before COVID, like
Oh my.
February of 2020, we became a franchise, and March the world shut down because of COVID. But despite that, we sold our first franchise later that year. Actually, in 2020, we sold two franchises. So, and since then, we currently have about seven franchises that are open, two under construction, and there are many prospects. We are taking it slow and easy because we don't want to scale too rapidly because we will not be able to control it.
So
So
is it, what's the name of the restaurant?
it's Tribos Peri Peri.
Okay, okay. That was the name of the Zoom
Yes,
meeting as well.
and that is I carried that flag even
Oh,
up to
very
I
good.
carried yeah, I carried three flags up on Everest. So and of course, like one was the DMED flag, which I have carried on every mountain that I have been to, every major mountain. And then I carried our company's flag, which is so Tribos Peri Peri is a restaurant. It's also we have also franchised it. So I manage more on the franchise part. My wife manages the two restaurants that we have.
So both are in
And
Jersey only,
yes,
restaurant?
they both are in New Jersey. But our franchises are located in Rhode Island, in the Northeast. Like we are in a couple of states here.
Okay.
Maryland, we have a few in New Jersey. We have two in Massachusetts, one in Rhode Island, and we have a new location that's coming up in Houston, Texas. So
No.
you know,
All the
many
best for that.
DMEDians
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
So once we, yeah, and
So
then one in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And
definitely
these are,
will send out flyers on about that too as well. There should be a discount code for DMET, and so whoever steps in the restaurant get 20%.
Certainly, certainly. Actually, so the one in Houston, of course, when we open, of course, we have a huge DMED presence there. In fact, two of my batchmates are there, plus many seniors, and of course, being Houston, there's
Yeah.
uh, it's a they have a huge marine fraternity out there, and uh, big clubs, etc. So I'm sure, we'll get a lot of support there. So so
Yeah.
that's
Yes,
that's how.
we
So
are speaking
2020,
for that.
2022, I had to make a decision, of if I should focus on the business or work. So I quit my work and have been with the managing our own
I would
business.
have been you, but I tell people I would have quit in 90s only when .com thing was happening in US. That was a
Hmm.
very good time for starting a tech business. But
Correct.
this the experience we have gained will actually help you a lot because franchising is more of a tech and operations play because if
Yes.
you want to scale, when people think that it is a restaurant play, nothing is restaurant play, nothing is cab play, it's all tech play now. Uh,
Yes. Exactly. You're
yeah.
absolutely right.
So, and some people don't realize it. I mean, I could not explain to my father what I do for a living because he just doesn't get it. So because they are generation old because when the internet did not happen that much.
Hmm.
So, but I believe what you will be a right man to be at helm of what you are doing right now, and all the best. So soon we'll see the franchise in three digits, 100 franchises in coming years.
Yep. Thank you. And I think we have a lot of interest from international as well. We've had prospects reaching out from Middle East. We have India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. So yeah, again, like I said, I'm looking for some started in mountaineering. So I
Yeah.
was just saying, one of my DMET juniors, Bala Sankaran, he is from the 89-93 batch. So he is the one, he's the glue that actually we had our first get together across batches, courtesy Bala. He arranged the first get together back in 2000, 2008 and 2009, I think. No, sorry, earlier than that, 2008 or so. We had our first get together in Atlantic City where we had batches from 67 to 97 represent representation from all these batches. In fact, there are many videos that we made around that are on YouTube, available on YouTube. So we continued, and so we have had so Bala was the one who first in 2011 he was making a plan to go to Mount Kilimanjaro. And initially I was not too keen, but then I'm glad I did, and we climbed Mount Kilimanjaro in summer of 2012. And you can say after that, every year we would make some plan, either go for some hiking or some climbing a mountain or something or the other, something outdoors. So we have done that. And the other major thing, so after climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, other major change that we've continued going on these trips at least once every year. And then in 2018 we made a plan to go climb Mount Elbrus. Now, Mount Elbrus happens to be the tallest mountain in Europe. It's in Russia, but it's the tallest mountain in Europe. Now that was so. And after I climbed that, then the possibility of doing the seven summits, that thought first came to my mind that hey, that is something that we can do. And of course, then nothing was firm up until that point, but we every year. So 2018 we did that. 2019 we did the trip to Everest Base Camp. This was, and then after when we went to the Everest Base Camp, uh, there was a big group of about 26 people, but of them, six of us, we wanted to go climb a mountain. So we went and climbed Mount Labuche. Now that was the first technical climb that we did, up the mountain. and that was almost 6,100 meters. Now, of course, in Asia, and all 6,100 meters is not a lot, but for us, it was the highest that we had ever been to, and it was very technical. And so that was in 2019, 2020. We went and climbed some mountains in Ecuador, and after that, post COVID, and of course, COVID happened. COVID was continuing, and I think I don't know what 20, but around 2022, I had this opportunity to go climb Mount Aconcagua. Now, the highest I had climbed up until this point was 6,100 meters. Aconcagua is almost 7,000 meters, actually 6,960 meters, and so this was going to be a tough climb. And I happened to, there was actually I answered an ad, and I went and I climbed with Nirmal Purja. If you've watched the documentary 14 Peaks, you know who I'm talking about. He's one of the top mountaineers in the world today, and he's built a great community of mountaineers. So I had an opportunity to climb that mountain with him. And so when I climbed Mount Aconcagua, that's when we were discussing if I could climb Mount Everest or not. And Nims, as he is known, what he told me was, hey, yes, you can definitely climb Mount Everest. And I was like, no kidding. I mean, uh, and actually, he put the seed in my mind. I should say that. And after I came back from there, I mean, this thought was in the back of my mind all the time. And I remember talking with, again, my friend Bala uh, from DMET back in March. And I was telling him that, hey, I'm really giving it some serious thought. So Bala was like, yes, it is going to be a challenge, but, there is going to be things you have to do, stamina and all. It's going to require a lot of stamina. It's going to require a lot of planning. And so I was already signed up to run the New York City Marathon for last year. But I said, you know what, because I'm not just going to go and run and, suffer through it. I went and joined a professional coach to help train me for the marathon, because I had my two goals. Number one was to finish the marathon without any injury, and second was build my stamina to a level that would help me climb Mount Everest this year. So I trained with them, and my single focus was, I was fortunately, I was physically, I was able to acclimatize quite well at altitude. Altitude never bothered me. I climbed Mount Aconcagua, did not have face any effect of altitude. So I knew that was one thing in my favor. But the second thing was, I had to work on my stamina and leg strength. That was so running.
Endurance is something that you need when you are there.
Pardon me?
Endurance is something that
yes,
you need, and at your age, it becomes very important.
Correct. So 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 anyway, so I trained for it, and then I continued with my training program. I did talk to a lot of people, and they said, you know what, you will be training on other things once you get there. Once you get to it will not be like, you'll go there and climb mountain, but make sure you're in your best cardio health when you get to Nepal. And that's what I focused on, even after New York City. So I kept running, and I kept participating in different races and all. In fact, right before I left for Nepal on April 2nd, but mid March, I went and ran another half marathon in New York City, and this time I actually broke all my records for half marathon. And so when I went there, I felt pretty healthy, and my cardio was pretty good. And of course, acclimatizing was, yes, it's a process, and I was able to acclimatize quite well. And of course, when we went to Nepal, the first things that they train you and is like, climbing on ice, and that is something, we've had some training, but this was we had never had an opportunity to climb vertical walls, uh, cross crevasses on ladders and things like
Yeah,
that. So
because
that we
terrain, my Everest terrain is a little bit tougher than the mountains in Europe and Ecuador. Yeah.
exactly. People actually, that is, I feel Everest happens to be kind of, people underestimate what it is. I know I underestimated it. It was a lot tougher than I thought what it would be. I knew it was going to be difficult, but I had not imagined the level of difficulty before I went there. So so when we went to so when we got to Nepal, of course, you do the Everest Base Camp track, which something which I had done in 2019. So it was something that was known, but it's a pretty strenuous track. But fortunately, being I was in a good shape, that was never a problem. Got to Everest Base Camp. It was uh, it was after the base camp, first adjusting to life, like where the temperature is around freezing 24 hours a day. In
Yeah,
fact, nighttime temperature would drop to sub-freezing. When we would wake up, the the the
yeah,
breath,
and
our
so
breath
you
would,
told me that you had some discoloration in your hand or something like this when you were climbing. Uh, so,
yeah.
yeah,
I mean, yes, of course, because you have there is at the altitude, at that altitude you do get lots of UV rays. Even though you try to, that's why they recommend using sunblock and all, because otherwise there's a danger of skin cancers and all. So even though I was using sunblock and all, yes, you do get tanned a lot and you're exposed. You can see those. There used to be there was a line on my arm here when I came back. I mean that. Because this part was exposed and this I would have full sleeves on, so my forearm was lighter than my hand. But so for that month and a half, so once we got to the base camp, the first thing we did was we rested a few days. Then we went to climb Mount Labuche again. Mount Labuche is used as a training climb for all people that go for Everest. So number one, it's quite technical. So you would use all the Jumars, the ascenders to ascend the ropes, and descenders to come down. And so it kind of trains you there. And so after the training climb, we came back to the base camp, rested, and then we did another hike. Now this is called a rotation, where they take you up to Camp 1 and Camp 2. Now, base camp is at around 5,300 or 5,400 meters, depending on what part of the base camp you're at. And then Camp 1 is around 6,100 meters, and Camp 2 is at 6,400 meters. And so, as part of the training, they take you to Camp 1, you spend some time there, and then they take you to Camp 2, you spend another maybe 2 nights there, and then you go up to you don't go up to full Camp 3, but you go on the way to Camp 3, you go up to an elevation of almost 6,800 meters. And then you come back down to the base camp. After that, this is how the acclimatization works, by you going to a higher altitude. And this way you shock your body. And when you come down to the lower altitude, your body produces extra hemoglobin in order to carry more oxygen, because the air is pretty thin out there. The oxygen levels at 6,100 would be half of what they are at sea level. So, uh, so this is how you acclimatize to higher altitudes. So this process of going up to Camp 1, Camp 2, and then coming back down is called uh, in the mountaineering, it's called rotation. So after one rotation, and of course we had done the Labuche climb, we then rested. So what we did was we went down to a much lower altitude. We went down to Namche Bazaar, which is at like 3,400 meters, in order to rest and recuperate. We spent a week there and then came back to the base camp. And after that, we were looking for a good window to climb. Now, the best window to climb Mount Everest is from May 15th or thereabouts to May 27th, or latest by end of May. That's when you have the most favorable weather on the Everest, on the mountains. So we came back to the base camp around May 10th, May 9th, May 10th. And then, of course, on the way back, coming back to the base camp, we just decided to climb up another mountain there called Kalapathar. It's about 5,600 meters. So we did that just to train as a training hike. And then when we came to the base camp, the thing that we were just looking at the weather and waiting for the best window. So we were informed on May 13th May 12th, that we would leave the base camp on the night of May 13th. So it was like actually early morning, May 14th, 1 a.m. was when we left the base camp for the summit push. So left the base camp, went to camp 1, spent a night there. Next day we went to camp 2, and there we spent 2 nights. And then after 2 nights, that's when going up from camp 2 to camp 3, we started using oxygen also. Now, although we did not need oxygen because our bodies were well acclimatized, but the logic there was for us to get used to the breathing with the oxygen mask on. And so we used oxygen to go from camp 2 to camp 3. Now, half the way, or almost a third of the way to camp 3 is like, it's a steady climb, and it's it's not difficult. But once you get to a point called the Lhotse face, that's when it gets like nearly vertical. You have to climb a vertical wall. You have to climb the whole Lhotse face, which is at an incline of almost 60 degrees at places. And also at some places, you have what is called the blue ice, where it is almost impossible to get traction on that. It's really hard ice. So we went up to camp 3, and there we spent another night there. And the next day we climbed to camp 4 of Everest. And that is the last camp. And it's at almost 7,900 meters. And we got to camp 4, rested for a few hours, and then went for our summit push.
So, in general, so you have done this now. So it feels very possible in real mode doing it. But before when you're planning something like this, for family, it is very crazy. Oh, you're 59, Jafar, you want to climb Everest. So how was your wife reacting
Yeah,
to all this?
actually, yeah. One thing, my wife asked me to. I'm going to turn 59 in November. So I'm actually 58 now, but I don't know. The reports have been out there, but that's fine. Like, I'm going to be 59 in
Yeah.
November. Yes. So
So you are a
although
Scorpio?
age was never a factor, because fortunately, I'm quite healthy. I don't have any health issues. Don't take any medicines. Nothing. So everything is. I'm 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 fairly healthy. Still, have a healthy lifestyle. But like we called it in a different setting, that this was an elephant in the room. We all knew about it. Everybody was talking. Nobody was talking about it, but everybody, we knew, what they meant was, hey, when you go and come back, return safely. We knew what that meant. Like, what if you don't return safely? The alternative was that you don't return at all.
So
So that was a big.
while you were climbing, this season also there has been deaths in the valley.
Yeah, there have been total of 9 deaths. I think the
Yeah.
last one was last Thursday or Friday. Somebody from India, a 46-year-old from 46 or 48-year-old from India, was evacuated because of mountain
Yeah,
sickness.
I guess he was a doctor or something himself. Uh,
Oh, really? Okay, that I did not know.
I'm just
But
to confirm, but yeah, I've read that.
yeah, so he passed away at the hospital. They managed to get him to the hospital, but he didn't survive.
Mhm. So and
So
that was the elephant in the room. You just went off like that. Bye bye, honey. I'll come back.
well, I think I did talk to my kids about it. I did tell them that, of course, my wife and I did not talk about the possibility that, I would not come back. Of course, like, we kept a very positive, kept our conversations very positive that, hey, not about like, if you're going to come back, it's like, when you come back, we'll do this, of course. So, but of course, I knew she was thinking about, she knew, like, I had this in my mind. And of course, when I was leaving, that's when, like, it really hit me that night before. And hey, these are probably the things that I will probably not see for the next 2 months. And if, God forbid, if something happens, then probably never see them. I never see my family, never see my home, never see anything. So that was always, and one of the things that I felt, uh, you know, it is. I mean, there are about 200 people, two 300 people that have, two 300 200 bodies are still out there, and many more people that have died. Like, about maybe another 100 or so people that have died, and uh, on Everest. So every climber probably has that on the back of the mind,
Yeah.
and nobody wants to be the next statistic. I
Yeah.
did not want to be the, and least of all, like, I don't think, we are all like, I think everybody knows that, hey, you are going to go someday, but nobody wants to be the one,
Yeah.
to die in the mountain and, stay there forever. Because uh, so that was one worry that I did have. And and for that, like, the way I coped with it was like, every day you know when I woke up, I would pray that, today should not be the day that I die. Like, so it was just one day at a time.
So
So
you run I was just going browsing through your restaurant. You run a lavish uh, grilled chicken restaurant. So, and if I would do something like that, I won't be healthy at all. I would be eating
yeah.
50% of the menu myself. So, running a restaurant is like a food business and being healthy. How you have been balancing that?
Well, our the restaurant food is healthy, although, so
Okay.
there's nothing, we don't other than fries, other than French fries, nothing else is fried.
Okay.
It's so everything is grilled. So we try to. Uh, it's a healthy restaurant, but of course, being healthy is a lifestyle. It's a way of life for you, for anybody. I mean, it's not just food. Food is one aspect of it, eating healthy, but then living healthy. So I've been practicing yoga since, though not as regularly as I would like to, but from my college days, still do it. Now I'm trying to get back into it, especially when I was in Nepal, because I guess carrying the backpack and all, I started getting some back aches. And after I came back, I've been, like, doing the stretches. Yoga has helped me, and the back pain is all gone. That is something I will continue doing. Other thing that is you have to, uh, the community I belong to here, and the group that I have, a group of friends that we have, everybody, like, we all are interested in running. So we all run few races every year. So that keeps us healthy. Running keeps you healthy. Uh, there are, and other things that we try to do is have an active outdoor lifestyle, like, going on hikes, going on walks, going on things. So this is how, we try to
And I saw
stay
your
healthy.
post that you're like back breathing clean air now in your city. So,
Yes,
so
yes.
that's very good. That's very good. That is actually very good. And I guess young people should learn and look up to you on that. And especially people like me who are like couch potatoes, eating fries. Um,
Mhm.
yeah,
No
ordering it.
harm in eating fries, but you balance that with something else that you should do.
Yeah,
And I would say, I would recommend to all the young people, just dedicate 1 hour to yourself. Have that as a me time. That's the time that you dedicate to yourself, because in a way, when you're healthy, you'll be around longer for your own kids, for your own children, and that's something. And you'll have a very good quality of life. That's everybody will grow old. Everybody will,
Yeah.
have the life will come to an end, but the quality of life that you will have if you're healthy will be a lot better than for people that are if you're sick. Now, I do have I mean personally just met somebody about a week ago, some relative who had a stroke. He may not be much older than me, like maybe 5 or at most maybe 10 years older. But when I met him, person was not even able to walk across the room. So that kind of felt bad, like so we don't want to be that person. And another person, he's a few years younger than me. He had a heart attack, and he is uh, he is definitely not in a good he's dealing with something very tough in his life. So that is
It's not
something.
like people in 50s and 40s are heart attack is the new thing of for people in 20s as well because of the
Yeah,
lifestyle we are living.
exactly. And I think one of the things I think and actually the problem became a actually this became a problem in the last 20 years or so in the Indian middle class, especially with the change shift in the lifestyle. If you look at our parents' generation, like 70s, 80s, people would walk a lot, they would bicycle a lot, and it was rare to find somebody who was obese. But now that is not a rarity. But the thing is, good thing is the human body is very adaptable. So my advice to all the youngsters is, invest in it, and you can turn things around. I've actually have seen people. Now, one of the things that I do want to mention here is our own alumni, Bala. He runs a he started this group called Runners High with Bala. So what he started with taking the kids around his neighborhood for a run, and he motivated them to run a half marathon. This is back in 2017 or so, and now that this community Runners High with Bala has become a sort of a movement, and there are almost 1,500 people across the globe, people from India, Singapore, Australia, and of course, there are many in the U.S. where uh, you know he introduces them to running, and then another surprising thing is there are people that are in their 80s that are doing their 5Ks and 10Ks for the very first time in their life. So look it up, runners with
Yeah, yeah,
bala.com.
I just looked it up and very interesting. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
that is
very
something
inspiring,
that
very
we should be
motivating.
very proud of him as well because it's not easy to do something like this.
Definitely, and I think kudos to him for doing what he is doing, and he has changed the life of so many people, like uh, who were, and especially one of the other person that I recently met. He was again, like was not having a good healthy lifestyle. He had a heart attack, and now I think he ran the New York City Marathon last year. So very inspiring.
And it's always inspiring. For example, a lot of young DMETians who have saw both you and Satya climb Everest now are aiming to climb Everest. They have started training for it. Uh,
Hmm.
DMETians in mid 30s, 40s, and because they once they thought that was not possible, and when you did it, now they're thinking because it's okay, it's very doable. If we can just
It
focus.
is,
Yeah.
yeah, it is doable, and my lesson learned would be, try to do it when you're younger,
Mm.
because mainly because hey, again, there are no guarantees in life. Not that if because the weather can change, the conditions in the mountain can change in an instant. Even the best of the best of the best climbers have turned back because of the conditions were not favorable for climbing. So give yourself the opportunity, like hey, if you're going to be turning back, then you do. When if you're younger, then you can plan to do it again. Because I always thought about this in my mind, like what would I do if I'm not able to summit? Will I come back and do it? A part of me said no, I'm just going to give it my one shot. But there was another part of me that said yes, maybe I will come back. But uh, when you do it in your when you're younger, you have more stamina, and of course, like it's better to do it when you're younger. And the second thing I would advise is uh, do it as a form a team that will go with you, because mountaineering is a very, especially climbing Everest, is because people come from all walks of life, and they've spent a lot already spent a lot of money to get there. They've spent a lot of time, so they don't want to. Uh, it's pretty much every person for himself or herself. So I many times I kind of felt, even though I was supported by my Sherpas, but I did feel alone. Like, hey, if something were to happen to me, I could not count on anybody that who would say, you know what, uh, let me help him, even though we will not summit. So I would say, go with a team, either two people or three people, so that you're not alone, and in that mountain you will have some good moral support. And that would be my, and definitely people have aspirations to do it, go for it. Don't
Yeah, we
wait too
get
long
we
on
get
those.
we get one life. So I guess I believe it should not be about regretting something we wanted to do and we couldn't. So
Hmm.
that is one lesson which we all should learn from you. And thank you for doing that, climbing Everest for the DMET and the maritime community as well. So that
thank
we
thank you,
appreciate
thank
that,
you.
because you have you have now inspiration to a lot of young and old folks who want to do this. So
Thank you.
the next question is, climbing a Mount Everest. And a lot of conversation with Satya, because it is a it is a high, adrenaline heights kind of. So what's next for Zafar as a mountaineer?
uh as a mountaineer, well, I'm not giving it up, I'm not hanging my boots yet. And in fact, we are uh, uh, with this we have a group of people, about 14 people. We are planning to go to Ecuador in August, and the goal this time is to climb Mount Chimborazo. Now,
Okay.
unique thing about Mount Chimborazo is that because of the curvature of the earth, and measured from the center of earth, Chimborazo is about 2,000 meters taller than Mount Everest as well.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. So, and it is the point that is closest to the sun.
Wow.
It's on Ecuador. It's at 6,300 meters. It's a tough climb. I attempted to climb Mount Chimborazo actually twice, and both times we had to turn back because of the weather was not favorable to climb.
So
So,
it's hot there, or it's like still
oh
cold there?
no, it's
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 very
a it's a it's a glacier. It's very cold.
cold.
Yeah. So first time was December of 2020 when we attempted to climb. Like, there was heavy winds of almost 70 kilometers an hour winds, and snowing bad. There was a snowstorm. So we waited an hour at the high camp and decided not to go forward. And the next time I went in August of 2021, and we started the climb about an hour or 2 hours into the climb. We we found that suddenly the wind picked up. I don't know how it happened, but the wind was so bad, and it was there was fine sand and snow. We were that basically we were not able to see anything, so we turned back. So we're doing this again. And actually, the I when I was in Everest, my two of my kids, one is 25 and one is 19. They both signed up to climb this go for this climb, and they would ask me, hey, would I come or not? So I said, let me finish Mount Everest first. And then after, when I finished Mount Everest, I said, you know what, I did not want to give up the opportunity of going on this climb with my sons. So so there, here we are. We're uh, you know
So
planning to climb that next.
how many kids you have, sir, right now?
Right now I have 5 kids.
Okay.
Yeah, and four of them are grown. They're working, and then my one 19-year-old, he's in college.
Okay. So you will be climbing with your kids soon?
Yes, I will be. I've actually climbed with my kids in the past. We climbed Mount Cotopaxi, and my youngest actually was with me when I first went to Everest Base Camp and also Mount Labuche back in 2019. He
Wow.
was only 14 then, and he climbed with me.
Wow. Good. So your kids are keeping you young, I guess.
You can say that.
So I guess we have extended on. I got all the answers. So one last message you have for the DMET community for this interview and for people because there are a lot of things that is going on right now in maritime community on mental health, wellness, and these are the things which I believe uh, you cannot take physical wellness or mental wellness apart. Wellness is wellness. Whether you are
Yes.
a lot of suicides have been we read a lot of suicide stories, seafarers on board committing suicides, and that is something similar happens in US. Lone wolf attacks, uh, any a
Hmm.
gunman in US, and that is something I believe these issues can be solved if people are channelizing their energy in right path. So,
Hmm.
and you are doing something similar. Okay, you have anger, you run 5K, the anger will be gone. Yeah. So channelize those energy which you have on not picking up a gun and shooting a school full of kids or jumping in the sea when you are on board. So any message on that note or any
I
message you had to the community?
I will reiterate what I said earlier on. Like everyone should dedicate an hour for me time, something that they do for themselves, something that will make them happier, make them satisfy them. And it's not a selfish thing. Don't take it as like, being you're being selfish by doing something for yourself, because you know there's a saying, the guy who can swim can only he's the one who can save others. So learn to swim. Be the person that you are able to keep your head above water. So invest that time in yourself. And physical health and mental health kind of go hand in hand. You cannot, if there is a person who's physically healthy and who invests time, will definitely be mentally more calm, and yeah, your problems. And then there is a time and place. Yes, everybody has issues, everybody has problems. It is life. You have to think positive and being solving the problem, rather than taking a shortcut way out or avoiding the problem. So think about that. But
Yeah.
definitely, but if you do have goals and aspirations, work towards them. It is an investment that you are making not only for yourself, but hey, then you will be motivating your near and dear ones, your families.
Yeah.
And
Like the way you have done for so thousands of mariners and the Americans. And so thanks once again for doing that. We cannot thank you enough. So thank you for taking out time on an afternoon. I believe you must be very busy with all your restaurants, and so I won't be taking long. But it was nice chatting with you, and we hope we'll meet sometime in near future. And thank you for being such a uh, good DMETN and contributing towards connecting with juniors, seniors, and everyone. So when Satya called me that when he met you, so I thought that you must be like 40. He shared me a pic with you, his pic with you. I saw, okay, I said that, okay. And he also thought that you must be like 40, in 40s and something like
mhm.
that. Your fitness has been awesome, and I wish you good health and more
Thank you.
mountains to climb. So,
Thank you so much. And give my best to Satya also, because he happened to uh, come from Dhalagiri the day I was going to leave for base camp. So when we kind of connected, I just had a few hours, and I told him I could not leave because we were right after dinner. We had to pack and do a lot of things. He came over, even though we met for and this is my first meeting with him. Again, it's a DMET connection, and I knew he was there. So we met for a few minutes and wished each other luck, and then we then we left, and what he has done is also very, very, very amazing. And physically, I think what he has achieved is
now
phenomenal.
he himself has got new ambitions. Now he want to be the fastest man to do 7 summits. Yeah, so I will
Hmm.
share the link where he has updated his missions, and it is getting crazier as because he is now like into full-time
Yeah,
mountaineering. So we wish him all the best for his journey as well.
definitely. Yes, I will be following him.
Yeah, yeah, everyone. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time and have a great day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. You too. Take care.
Yeah, one question I forgot on. What was your roll number, sir?
3582.
Okay. So mine was 6323.
6823.
63,
Okay,
63, 6323.
6323.
Yeah.
In my batch, 23 is Sandeep Kumar.
Oh, wow. So say hi to Sandeep, sir.
Yes, I will. I think he will watch this
Yeah.
definitely.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.